there, this is Allison Bonelli, a professional life strategist. We are going to continue to talk about careers and reflecting on our careers. This is a series that I'm doing because I am in this place where I am reflecting on my career. I am close to retiring, and there's a lot to think about the almost 30 years that I've worked serving people. Now, when I retire, it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop working. I'm just going to be working in a different arena. But still, before I even, jump into that arena fully, I want to take a look at what worked and what didn't work in my last iteration of a career. As a licensed psychotherapist, there were many, many busy days where I was fully engaged in helping people who were in crisis. And in my field, I've seen so many people come into the field and leave burnt out. And I never wanted to be burnt out. So even from day one, work-life balance was such a strong ethic for me, something that I just definitely did not want to lose sight of. As I was entering into my career, I was already married, and I had a couple of children, and I had one more at 3, and then I had one more while I was really building my private practice. And I was juggling all these things. But it was still good because, again, I wanted to make sure I stayed focused on balancing what was going on with me personally and what was going on with me professionally. There's a quote that says, you can have it all, you just can't have it all at the same time. So you do have to make decisions. What is going to be your main focus at various seasons of your life? And I truly believe that. So at the point that I was building my career, even though my family was still very young, I had to do a lot of coordinating and planning with my husband in terms of how do we manage our children's lives and sports and music and all the different things they wanted to be involved in. When I was building a practice and I had clients calling me wanting to see me all hours of the day. So I knew that I had to make some priorities. What was going to be my priority? Was I going to ignore the things that were going on at home because the job was, I'm building a business. I had to be available. At least that was the prevailing wisdom, was that I needed to be available at all hours of the day or evening. Whenever a client needed me, I needed to be there. I chose that was not going to be my reality or my truth. My decision at that time, and I do not regret it, was that no, my family would come first and my work would come second, even though I was building a career. Now, you may have a different decision to make, and your choices may be different because maybe you don't have small children as you're building your career. It's going to look different for everybody. What I'm talking about is work-life balance. Now, I know some people want to argue those terms and they say there's no such thing as work-life balance. Well, call it whatever you will. Call it work-life integration, work-life blending. The semantics of it really doesn't matter to me, but it's about paying attention to your professional life and your personal life and figuring out how they're going to play together nicely. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you want those two things are not going to be, you can't, most people can't get rid of one or the other. Most of us, we have our personal life, that's going to stay, and we usually need to have a professional life, whatever that may be, whether that's work outside the home or in the home professionally, that's going to pay the bills. All right, so let's get back to reflecting on our careers. And now we're going to focus a little bit on work-life balance. I want you to take some time and think about, on a scale of 1 to 10, how balanced do you feel your professional and your personal life are? Do you feel that one is taking predominance over the other? and the other needs to have a little bit, show up a little bit more in the way you're doing things. I've met so many people that state to me that they feel guilty no matter what they do. When they're at home, they feel that they should be focused on building their career and working for those advancements and those promotions. And when they're at work, they feel that their children are suffering, their relationships are suffering, and they need to spend more time with their partners or with their children. In those cases, they don't feel that there's a good work-life integration. Their professional and their personal life are not playing together very well. I want you to take a minute and assess for yourself. How are you doing on that regard? Think about also, what are your biggest stressors? Are your biggest stressors at work, or are your biggest stressors at home? I remember periods of time during the time I was building my career where my children would get sick, or if they got asthma, my children had asthma, if they'd have an asthma attack, there was such a strong pull to say, oh, no, I've got to drop everything and I've got to be there for my children. However, I'm in a field where I also have clients who are having crises and different things going on. Fortunately, I had a strong support system and I was able to balance things out to some degree where I still felt I was meeting my children's needs, but I was still being present for when my clients need me. But where are your stressors? Are they more at work, or are they more at home? What does your support system look like to help in either of those ends? If you don't have a strong support system, consider getting one. Consider starting to build one. Consider being transparent with trusted individuals, either at work or in your personal life, and let them know what the needs might be. It may not be something that you need all the time, but you may need it temporarily while you go through a rough phase at work, or while you go through a challenging point of time at home where there might be some illness or some heightened needs. Where are your biggest stressors? One of the reasons we sometimes have stresses might also relate to a lack of boundaries. Or maybe there are boundaries, but they're not really well reinforced. So how can you strengthen and protect the boundaries that protect your wellness? There are so many clients I've worked with over the years where I've had to remind them of the power of no. 2 letters, 1 word, but powerful. It can be scary sometimes. It can be scary to say no to that loved one who's now going to accuse you of not loving them or abandoning them because you are not there at their beck and call. It could be scary to say no to that job commitment when you fear that it means that you are now going to get a poor evaluation, or you're going to be out of the running for promotion, or worse yet, maybe in the running for being laid off or fired. There's a lot to consider, but boundaries are important. Healthy boundaries keep relationships healthy, both at work and at home. So think about what those boundaries are and how can you strengthen them? Is there a way through good, effective communication that you could let people know what your limits are, what your schedule is, what things are necessary for you to continue to be able to pour into them? Because honestly, if they break you down and you're not able to function or function optimally, they are losing out also. So learn how to make those, communicate that to people so that they understand that by you maintaining good, healthy boundaries, you're not only protecting yourself, you're also protecting the relationship that you have with them and your ability to provide for them the thing that they are coming to you for, be it affection like at home, or be it work productivity on the job. That leads us into self-care. Do you have a self-care strategy? And if you don't, when are you going to get one? What does it look like for you? What have you tried in terms of self-care that has worked? and has not worked. I can't tell you the amount of people who've said to me, oh, I did this one time and it was so good. And I'll wait and I'll say, oh, so when's the last time you did that? And they'll go, oh, I've never done it again. And I'm like, you found something that worked for you. You did it one time. It was great, whether it was a vacation or you went fishing or you just stayed home and, weeded your garden. And it worked. And you're now telling me you never did it again? And this is what I would hear back. I'd hear them say, oh, I just don't ever remember to do it. It does work, but I just forget. When I'm very stressed, I forget. All right. If you have not been keeping a notebook for this whole series, this is the point where I say to you, please go get a notebook and write these things down. If you've had some self-care strategies that have worked for you in the past, write them down. Because trust me, when you're feeling stressed and at your least focused, you're not going to remember them. If you don't want to write it down, tell it to somebody and say to that person, you are now going to be the keeper of that bit of knowledge. And the next time I am running around like a chicken without a head and I'm feeling stressed to the max, I want you to be the voice of reason. I want you to remind me, hey, remember last time you felt so stressed? You went and you cleaned up your garden and how wonderful you felt at the end of that day? Hey, you might want to try to do that again. So think about these things as you reflect on your career. You want to make sure at the end of the day, when you are moving into retirement or moving on to maybe your second career, you want to reflect and say, you know what? I have learned how to balance both my work and my life. And that's a transferable skill. So not whether you're a brain surgeon, a construction worker, a teacher, a therapist like me, you still need to know how to manage your personal life and your professional life at the same time. And that's where balance comes in. That's where integration comes in. That's how they learn to work well together. I want you to pay attention to that. Lastly, I want to leave you with this. Psalm 127, verse 2 says, it is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep. Now, if you don't know who he is God. He gives us sleep. Oh, good, restful sleep. You're not going to have that if you're anxious all the time. Let's not rise early in vain and go to bed and rest late in vain and eat all day long the bread of anxious toil. Balance your life in such a way that at the end of the day, when you are retiring, you're not retiring in poor health, emotionally fragile, totally burnt out, and just feeling like outside of a paycheck, it was all a waste. That's not what we want. So I'm going to leave you with that. Actually, I didn't really want to leave on a negative note. Let me leave on a more positive note. You want to make sure that at the end of the day, when you are retiring, that you feel like it was worth it and the job was a blessing to you and you were a blessing to others through that job and that your family was blessed by it also. This is Allison Bonella, your professional life strategist, inviting you to dream big, set goals, and take action. And go ahead and like and subscribe, share if you feel this is a blessing or a benefit to you. Also, if you want to support my channel more, support me more, there's also, I think, a link for buy me a cup of coffee. That's a bit of a misnomer, though, because I don't drink coffee. I drink tea, but that's okay. I'll catch you next time. Have a great day.